Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're making cauliflower mash. This is a favorite of mine and it's also very easy and extremely tasty. So let's go. First things first, let's preheat the oven to 220 degrees centigrade. Next, we're going to take one medium-sized cauliflower, trim off the stem and any of the leafy bits, and then proceed to break it down into florets. Now is a good time to take the cauliflower over to the sink and give it a good rinse, just to make sure there isn't any dirt or there aren't any bugs hiding in the cauliflower. Once the cauliflower is a bit dry, we can add it to a baking sheet, hit it with freshly ground salt and pepper, and then give it a drizzle of good old olive oil. And while we're waiting for our oven to come to temperature, we're going to set the cauliflower aside and start working on our onions. We're going to take one medium-sized onion, half it, peel it, and then proceed to slice it thinly. We're going to do the exact same thing to 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. Just going to snip off the ends, smash them down and peel them, then give them a nice chop. You can use more or less garlic here, it's totally up to you. I find that this amount works well for the size of cauliflower I was using. Now that the oven has reached temperature, in goes the cauliflower, and through the magic of editing, 10 minutes pass and out comes the cauliflower. We're going to give each floret of cauliflower a turn so that it cooks evenly on both sides. Hit it with another drizzle of olive oil and then back into the oven they go. And then in about 8 to 10 minutes, I'm going to take them out again, give them another turn and put them back in the oven. By now the cauliflower has been cooking for about 20-25 minutes and it's looking quite nicely roasted. So I'm just going to leave it in the oven to stay warm, but I'm going to turn the oven off and leave the door slightly ajar. So for some reason my camera wasn't rolling, but what I did off camera was I took the sliced onions and the chopped garlic with a tablespoon of butter, put them to a pot over medium heat, and now I'm cooking them till they're translucent. Be sure to stir them often and keep them covered. This will help speed up the cooking process. While the onions and garlic are cooking, we're going to measure out 120 ml of chicken stock. I'm using homemade, but you can use store-bought as well. Be sure to keep an eye on your onions and garlic. We don't want them to burn or get stuck to the pan. This is a good time to prep your roasted cauliflower. We're just going to dislodge any stuck bits from the pan. Before we add the cauliflower, we're going to add in some of our chicken stock. I'm only going to add half now and then assess if I need more later and then add some more accordingly. In goes the cauliflower and we're just going to mix it around and then cover it and let it simmer. I'm also going to add in about half a teaspoon of cayenne powder for a little bit of heat. As you can see, it's getting quite dry, so I'm going to add in the remaining chicken stock cubes. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon of butter. What we're doing here is we're creating a nice balance of roasted flavors from the cauliflower, sweetness from the onions and the garlic, and nice fats from the butter and the chicken stock. Just going to cook it down till it's a little bit drier and the flavors are a little more concentrated. The reason we keep it covered is so that the cauliflower steams in the chicken stock and becomes slightly softer. It's been about 8 to 10 minutes since we added the cauliflower to the onions. They've become nice and soft and have absorbed most of the chicken stock, so they're about ready to come off. I'm going to pour them out into a heat-proof container and then using an immersion blender, I'm going to make a paste. The reason I didn't do this in the pot was because I didn't want to scratch it up. I made this a couple of hours in advance, but now that it's time to have dinner, I'm going to empty out the cauliflower mash into a saucepan with a couple of tablespoons of chicken stock and a few generous pinches of salt. Just continue to stir it over a low heat so that the stock cube melts and gets well incorporated into the cauliflower mash. Taste for saltiness and you're ready to serve. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Roasted cauliflower mash is an incredible replacement for mashed potatoes. It's low carb, it's gluten-free, it's high in fiber, and it's really good for you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay safe, stay happy, and eat well.